Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something totally wild and, honestly, pretty controversial. We are going to unpack a newly revealed 22-point manifesto from the massive data analytics giant Palantir. Drawing directly on some really excellent deep dive reporting from DW News and Al Jazeera, we're going to objectively lay out Palantir's stated goals for the future of warfare. And, of course, we'll look at the massive international backlash this has triggered from experts and philosophers. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Take a look at this exact quote. It comes from a recent, highly viral social media post by Palantir, based on a book by their CEO, Alex Karp. Now, on the surface, the premise seems totally straightforward, right? Just equip soldiers with the best tools available. But as DW News reports, when that tool happens to be unprecedented mass surveillance and AI targeting software, well, the implications go way beyond a simple hardware upgrade. What we're actually looking at is the aggressive merging of private tech companies with state military power.
Here is our roadmap for the explainer today. First, AI as the new weaponry. Second, real-world global implementation. Third, the techno-fascism critique. And fourth, the future of human warfare.
So, what makes this whole situation so unique? Well, according to the analysis from DW News, Palantir isn't just handing out a slick product brochure. Their CEO, Alex Karp, has authored a 22-point manifesto that lays out a highly specific, very intentional ideological vision. In fact, Mark Kokelberg, a renowned philosopher of tech who was interviewed by DW News, expressed genuine surprise that a private company was putting out such a militant political roadmap. You see, their stated goal isn't just to secure contracts and make a quick buck. It's to actively shape global politics, placing U.S. technology right at the absolute center of global power. And this brilliantly illustrates just how massive their influence has really become. During an interview with Al Jazeera, Yanis Varoufakis, the former finance minister of Greece, pointed out a truly staggering financial reality. Palantir has actually surpassed the market capitalization of traditional legacy defense giants like Lockheed Martin. Seriously, think about that for a second. The company that physically builds the F-35 fighter jet is now valued less than the company writing the code for battlefield analytics. They literally are the new military-industrial complex.
Section 1. AI as the new weaponry. Redefining global deterrence.
According to that Al Jazeera interview, Palantir's manifesto makes an incredibly bold claim. The era of traditional nuclear deterrence, it's effectively over, because companies like Palantir aren't in the business of building nuclear bombs. Their focus is zeroed in on the next frontier. They argue that the new global arms race is entirely focused on AI-driven autonomous systems, drones, and robotics. This is a complete paradigm shift in how superpowers think about global deterrence. We are moving away from the lingering threat of massive nuclear fallout and right into the hyper-precise, autonomous deployment of AI killing machines. Which brings us to their primary ideological justification for building all these systems. The manifesto argues that Western powers simply cannot afford to sit around debating the ethics of AI weaponry. Why? Because, and this is a direct quote from the document, U.S. adversaries will not pause to debate the merits of developing military technologies. They'll just proceed. Palantir frames these highly controversial technologies as absolute, unavoidable necessities. In their view, the West literally has to aggressively build and embrace these autonomous weapons right now, before their enemies beat them to the punch.
Section 2. Real-world global implementation. The Gotham system.
Let's move to and see how this builds out of theory and into actual practice. Both DW News and Al Jazeera have reported extensively on the deployment of Palantir's Gotham system. Just look at the domestic side. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, uses the software for near real-time immigrant tracking. Internationally, DW News reports Palantir has a strategic deal with Israel's Defense Ministry, where their AI analytics are reportedly integrated into targeting systems in Gaza to help generate human target lists. On top of that, Al Jazeera notes their software, specifically a program called Maven, was used by the U.S. military in operations involving Iran. Guys, this isn't science fiction, it is active, real-world deployment. Let's just focus on the domestic impact for a minute here. As DW News highlights, the capabilities Palantir hands over to agencies like ICE are almost unbelievable. The software pulls together data from multiple federal agencies, it processes biometrics, scrapes social media posts, and cross-references border entry logs. All of this comes together to enable near real-time tracking of individuals. But DW News raises a really severe warning here. These predictive policing tools, heavily marketed under the guise of fighting crime, give governments incredibly powerful new methods to crack down on their own citizens.
Critics warn this could easily lead to arbitrary arrests and the total erosion of our everyday privacy. Section 3. The Techno-Fascism Critique, Expert Backlash. So, DW News interviewed philosopher Mark Kugelberg, and he actually coined a very specific term for Palantir's worldview, techno-fascism. He defines this as the merging of high-tech surveillance with military-industrial interests to completely reshape political realities. It's a system that prioritizes national security above absolutely everything else. Kugelberg warns that Palantir isn't just selling a piece of software to European police forces and global militaries, they are selling this specific, militant ideology right alongside it.
So the crucial point is how global intellectuals are reacting to all this. On Al Jazeera, Yanis Varoufakis did not mince words. He straight up called the manifesto a blueprint for a diabolical, cowardly new world. His grave reaction stems from Palantir's open declaration that it fully intends to defend a ruling elite to the death. Varoufakis argues that instead of pushing for international agreements to try and limit AI weaponry, Palantir is basically advocating for building machines that kill humanity and then asking questions later.
And Varoufakis goes even further in his analysis of the manifesto's 22 points. He points out that the document actively pushes what he calls a hierarchy of cultures. On Al Jazeera, he chillingly compared this rhetoric to the ideologies of Nazism and South African apartheid. He argues the manifesto creates an ideological justification for weaponized racism, suggesting that certain supposedly superior cultures are simply entitled to use lethal technology against others. It is a very stark, sobering read of the company's stated worldview. Section 4. The Future of Human Warfare, Our Duty of Care. Now, despite all his grim warnings, Varoufakis actually told Al Jazeera that he welcomes the release of this document. I know, it sounds a little counterintuitive, right? But he welcomes it because it strips away all the usual corporate marketing jargon. The hidden agenda is now entirely visible for all of us to see. He argues that by making this public, Palantir has inadvertently given rational people a duty of care as a species. It's now up to humanity to read between the lines, fully grasp the massive threat these autonomous systems pose, and actively work to stop this vision before it becomes our permanent reality.
So we'll leave you with this really powerful question posed by DW News at the end of their report. Is giving up our privacy a fair price to pay for more safety, or are we literally marching toward techno-fascism? Look, Palantir has made their stance incredibly clear, and their technology is already active in our streets and in war zones globally. Now it's ultimately up to society to weigh the perceived benefits of AI security against the preservation of our fundamental human rights. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those hard questions, and we'll see you next time.
Getting to the heart of the matter isn't always easy, but here we always look for the essence. Thank you for your time and your curiosity. Subscribe for more answers, and as always, thanks for watching.